So the Dodge CEO thinks we're being too negative about the Charger EV. He says that we're being too negative, and he blames us. This is downright hilarious. So I had to make a video about this, folks. I saw this article this morning when I woke up on the drive, and it is downright comedy. Literally, we could do stand-up comedy. I gotta tell you, as much as I like Matt McAlear, I have no relationship with him. I did somewhat with Tim Kuniskis. I gotta tell you, this guy, I wanted to like him. I really want to support him. I know that he's in a tough spot, but for him to get out here and sound like he's whining about us not liking that Daytona EV, and then complain that we're being too negative, and that his quote was, "No one wants to be positive." No one wants to be positive. No, we don't want to be. We want to be negative because it feels so good to be negative. We just wake up and say, "I want to be negative today." Like, that is ridiculous. Like, this is, no one wants. How about this? No one is positive about the car for legitimate good reasons. None of us have failed to articulate that we don't like that car for real, absolute reasons, but then goes into this article on the drive and pretty much blames all of us for the car not doing well, for the car receiving so much criticism and negativity that is stinging to him. Let's get into this and show you this insane article. Someone needs to stop him from doing interviews. If this is getting utterly stupid. Like, Matt, you seem like a great guy. Don't do any more interviews. Just stay at home, stay in your office, do anything. If you're going to say stuff like this, don't do it. Or take my advice in this video and say what I'm going to tell you should say, which frankly, I'll just tell you right now. We missed the mark on this thing. Carlos Tavares was trying to hit some certain benchmarks so we can get $40 million. And we probably shouldn't have killed the other car before we brought the new car. We should have overlapped them and allowed for more options, which is a beautiful thing when you have a car that's selling, let's say, hundreds of thousands of the models despite their age. It just makes sense. Bring another option and take more money from us. Why completely kill one and then tell us you're going to like this thing whether you like it or not, and then you're going to buy it because it's going to be so great, and then when we don't like it, come out in an article like this and say, "I can't believe they don't like it. Had we told them this, that, and the other, they would have liked." Let me just show you the article. This is downright hilarious. All right, so here's the headline, and here's what he said. "It's funny. We got beat up for years on the old cars. Dodge CEO Matt McAlear told us. He says that now no one wants to be positive." Well, here's just real quick on that one. You did get beat up because you just kept selling us the same exact car every single year for forever years, 15 years or something like that. So yeah, it was like you couldn't even get a USB-C plug in the cars. Like, little things would have made us happy. But nonetheless, now you're going to say that's the reason. So you sold hundreds of thousands of these damn cars, and they were still making you tons and tons of money, yet it's, you got rid of them because we beat you up on them? No, you got rid of them because Carlos Tavares wanted to make a bunch of money. So now let's go down and check out the fun part. Of course, it's wise to expect backlash when a company radically changes. Well, listen, had you come out with something bigger, better, cooler, didn't even have to be faster, but I mean, just updated, my gosh, I can tell you right now, there would have been backlash for sure, but not the level where every single Instagram post, every single post anywhere about this car. Literally on one of the Facebook groups recently, a dealership put up one of these Dodge Chargers, and they were getting so roasted in the comments that when I went back to look at it just for entertainment purposes, he had taken the post down because it was so brutal. But let me just read this real quick. "It's wise to expect backlash when a company radically changes its core product. With Dodge stuffing electric motors inside the Charger, long known for burnouts and big displacement V8s, there was bound to be criticism. Let's just go back. This one, the Daytona EV, can't even do burnouts. So yes, there's a reason right there. But let's go down and read what he says. It stings, but you understand why it stings. Dodge CEO Matt McAlear told The Drive during a roundtable interview. On paper, this is the part that just makes me just want to throw up. On paper, gearheads should, this is where he's telling us we should like it. Gearheads should love the Charger Daytona. Bullshit. Visually, the two-door is a total throwback and more faithful to the original Charger's design than the V8-powered last-gen model. On top of that, its specs embarrass most Hemis. That's where he's saying we should have liked it. But it even gets stupider when he goes to the next one. And here's the deal. I'll agree with him. I like how this one looks. I think it looks great. Had it came out with the new Hemi or with the old Hemi in it or anything other than being all electric and that being our only choice and then being delivered late, 2024 showing up in 2025 along with 2025s, might have had a good chance at getting some people to jump in and buy these things. But instead, he called it a Scat Pack. He called it an RT, which is totally peeing on the graves of our beloved cars. Should have called them SXTs, should have called them GTs, should have put lower horsepower, tuned them much lower, same size battery, and gotten 400 or 500 miles of range out of them, and they would have sold those things because then they would have something above and beyond Tesla, where they could say we have even more range and a much better looking car. And while it's still quick because it'll have the torque, it's not going to beat anything. Don't try to beat our Hellcats. And it would have been much cheaper than a Lucid, for example, with 500 miles of range. They could have beat the other EVs in some area. Instead, they basically beat other EVs in no areas and are left with a subpar car, as Rich Rebuild says, a 2018 technology with 2035 pricing. But let's go read what he said. This is the part that just makes me want to tell him, do not speak in interviews on camera. Don't even talk anymore if you're going to say things like this. Here's what he says. If we sent you an invitation that said, we want you to come drive the all-new top-secret replacement for the Challenger, its standard all-wheel drive 670 horsepower 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds, quarter mile, and 11 seconds state-of-the-art technology driver-focused cockpit just as loud from a decibel level as an outgoing Hellcat, 132% more cargo capacity, more leg room than the outgoing four-door Charger. Everyone would say, sign me up. Let's go, McAlear told us. You might not even ask what's under the hood. You just assume this is an awesome car. It looks like a 68, the most iconic car in muscle history.
That's some bullshit.
But of course, that's not how the discourse has gone. No kidding. Instead, people have criticized the car's weight, fake engine noise, lack of V8, in most cases without having test-driven the car, as it's so new. I don't need to drive it. I don't need to cook a burger in a microwave to know it's going to taste like crap. I don't need to do that. I know the car is not something I want. I don't want an EV. You let go of one branch and then grab the new branch. You should have held on to one while you were grabbing the other one until you had a firm grip on the other one, meaning should have never got rid of the Hemis. You could have kept delivering the old cars. You could have called this thing something else. You could have overlapped these things for a while, just had different names and not stole the Scat Pack and RT name. There's so many options, so many ways you could have done this more successfully. I think my SXT and GT plan would have been a huge winner because even at that point, I would have thought, hell yeah, man, for $40,000, give me one of these things with 500 miles of range and it looks cool. It's just the same. You're going to attract all the SXT and GT buyers who were looking for fuel economy and a cool looking car. That's what this thing could have been. Instead of trying to compete with the ICE engines, the ICE cars that we all loved so much that frankly kept them in business for so long. So what he's leaving out in this is that he would, if he would have done that little description, like, hey, we want you to come drive the all-new top-secret replacement for the Challenger, and said all that stuff, but left out the fact that it's going to take me 11 hours to charge, it's going to be almost 6,000 pounds, and it's going to get beat by a Tesla Model 3 Performance, and it's going to have this ridiculously fake exhaust, I promise you, we would have talked trash, for sure, but you're saying, had I told you all this and then surprised you that it's electric, we would have been fine, or not even asked what was under the hood? Well, that says even more that you don't know car enthusiasts then. You don't know that that's what we all ask each other. What's under the hood? What's under the hood? Hell, at Cars and Coffee, the hoods are popped up most of the time, especially on muscle cars, so people can see what's under the hood. The very first question is, what's under the hood of that thing? So to think that no one would even ask when you give those kinds of stats, knowing that Dodge is coming out with some stupid EV is just naive. It's ridiculous. That notion is a struggle for me to even grasp that he even believes any of this stuff. So I believe McAlear absolutely is just saying things because he's trying to help get this thing some lift and tell us that we are wrong. So basically in this paragraph, he's saying we should have loved it based on the statistics. We should have loved it based on these stats, and that we should not be so negative about it because it's so fast and it looks like a 68 Charger. No, No, he's missing the entire point. This is not what we asked for. No one asked for this. You didn't listen to your customers. You did not. I did a survey years ago. It was a very secret survey where I got to actually see some of these cars way before they even came out. And I was clear that I was not on board with the EV. My buddy, another guy who went, I didn't even know he was going, went and said he was good with the EVs. He was invited back a second time. I was not, which means they were trying to live and launch this thing in a vacuum to meet Carlos Tavares's expectations and needs to achieve their Dare Forward program and their EV launches. That's all I can deduce. Just my opinion, it's all I can deduce. It's utterly insane that he thinks we should be jumping up and down about this thing. So I just had to share this with you. It is downright hilarious that he would think that. We should like it, everybody. We should be positive. We should be more positive because of the 670 horsepower, 0 to 63.3 second quarter mile in 11.5 seconds, and the state-of-the-art technology that does not even have charging station mapping, and that the fact that we haven't even driven the car yet, we shouldn't be able to say anything about it. I'm going to drive one, and I can tell you right now, I have no question it's going to drive like an EV. Probably drive, what I'm hearing, is worse than a normal EV, but nonetheless, it's going to drive like an EV. It's not going to make me want one. That's not going to change anything, which is probably why I wasn't invited to the Radford launch either. So let me know your thoughts on this. Is he just completely lost and just disconnected? How about listening to your customers? How about now just getting up, Matt, and just admit we missed the mark on this thing? We need to bring back, which they're basically saying without saying it, bring back an ICE version. The twin turbo i6 very likely might be a big miss as well. But bring back the Hemi version, keep doing your EVs, change the name to SXT and GT next year, and roll the range way to the moon. You've got a big enough battery in there to be able to do that. Just don't make it a performance car, and it'll get way more range. Don't try to sell it to us as a performance car that gets beat by a Tesla Model 3 Performance, and you might have a chance of selling a bunch of things and drop the price by 50%, because the other issue that you would have left out of that little spiel was that, oh, by the way, it's going to be $85,000 to get that. And you're going to call it a Scat Pack, which we were able to get in the 50s just a few years ago. So with that, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.